Elder Chorus Porch Session. Weekend Visit. Ruby Gregory Miller and Cousin Dear Niece. The porch light hums against a warm evening. Iced tea sweats on the rail. Mama E. rocks slow, fanning herself with a church program. Auntie May is shelling peas she has no intention of cooking. Ruby Gregory Miller sits in the good chair, the one nobody else touches when she's visiting. Legs crossed at the ankle, already smelling blood in the water. Ruby Gregory Miller. Now somebody tell me why I had to hear from my hairdresser that Thomas Fleming laid out on that kitchen floor before I heard it from this porch. Mama Greer. Not looking up, because this porch waits for confirmed information. Ruby. We don't run on beauty shop. Doreenis. Leaning in, elbows on knees, confirmed or not, I heard Rodney found him. Tripped right over him coming out that den of iniquity. Sister Shirley Ann. Gasping, fanning harder. Lord have mercy, that boy needs to cut a light on before he goes stumbling through the dark like he ain't got sense. Auntie. Still shelling, unbothered. He got sense. He just ain't got home training. Laughter ripples down the porch. Ruby lets it settle before she strikes. Ruby Gregory Miller. And where, pray tell, was the wife while all this was happening? Mother Mary. Sipping tea, slow sleep. On 2 Benadryl. Sent her own daughter's father to the emergency room and stayed home. Doreenis. Scandalized, 2 Benadryl. For what? Nerves. Mama E. For an alibi, baby. That woman's been building one for 3 years. A beat. The fan stops moving. Ruby sets her glass down slow. A sign she's about to get serious. Ruby Gregory Miller. Now y'all can laugh about Rodney in the dark hallway all you want. But I want to talk about them girls. Auntie Emmy. Finally looking up, Veronica, Mallory, and Lee. Ruby Gregory Miller. 3 different households, 3 different lives. And every single time that phone rings at 2 in the morning, they up and moving. For a daddy who was running the streets when they needed him walking the floor. Sister Shirley Ann. Quiet now, that's Grace. Ruby. Plain Grace. Doreenis. Softer, no more teasing in it. My mama used to say some folks give you roots and some folks just give you a reason to grow your own. Sound like those girls grew their own right into each other. The porch goes still. Even Auntie May stopped shelling peas. Mama Greer. Nodding slow, that's the whole story right there. He gave them nothing but each other. And they made that enough. Ruby Gregory Miller. Raising her glass. Well then. To sisters who show up, even for a daddy who never did. Veronica Nixon, Mallory Simpson, and Lee Fowler are 3 sisters who share a close bond. They share the same dad, Thomas Fleming, who is practically a stranger to them. However, the sisters formed their bonds as youngsters, despite living in different cities now with families of their own. Yet each sister assures and keeps the bond over the years, knowing that each are just a phone call away. Veronica is the eldest. She is manager at American Savings and Loans. She is married to Stephen, devoted husband and father, to their 3 children, Stephen Jr., Stefania, and Stefano. Mallory is the middle sister. She and her husband, Jay, have their own clothing store and things are going quite blessed for them. One son is married, the other engaged. Lee is the youngest but seems to be an old soul. She is vice principal of an elementary school. And her husband, Anthony, is foreman for a landscaping company. They have 4 children. These young ladies seem to have a tight grip on themselves and their families. After all, the 3 sisters married young and have no regrets, and life is good and uncomplicated. Oh. Until a call from a relative informing them of their father having a stroke. Although neither of the sisters expect it to be too life-altering, they are horrified to arrive to see their dad incapacitated and abandoned dead by his wife, who also strips his bank account. When their father wakes from being in a medical-induced coma, it is evident that he will not be able to function on his own. The sisters let the past stay exactly where it belongs in the past. They decide to take turns caring for and nursing a dad they barely know, and who he does not remember. However, as time passes, Thomas is recovering quickly, and so are his broken bonds with his daughters. Just goes to prove that when our hearts are free of pain, so are our lives, all through the eyes of 3 sisters. Lee. And the clock blinked 2:45 a.m. I had just fallen asleep. It seems that ever since I was in my late teens I have battled with insomnia, and the fact my husband worked the graveyard shift, and the kids are grown leaving us empty nesters. I was a fraidy cat. I could hear every crack in the foundation of the house settling whenever Anthony was at work, but my Mastiff puppy was the size of a small panda bear at only 3 months old, and my bestie Ike had put in an alarm system that my husband, Anthony, could keep an eye on things at home while at work. Good thing I was faithful and not living dirty, but I also felt that by the time he could see someone break in, rob the place, blow me to smithereens and send Sinatra to puppy heaven. But as I was saying, I had finally fallen asleep when my phone began to chirp. I sat up so fast, with Anthony at work and our kids home with their spouses, I was afraid to answer, but Sinatra began howling, trying to match the rhythm. I looked at the caller.id and saw that it was my sister, Mallory. Calling, I sat up quickly and grabbed the phone. I may ignore a lot of calls, but never my family. "Hello," I said nervously. "Sis, I am calling to tell you that I have Veronica on three-way." Mallory said. "Hey, Ronnie Spector," I said, teasing her since that was actually her name, Veronica Ronnie Spector Wallace Nixon. Her mom was a huge fan of the girl group of the 60s, the Ronettes. "Hey Lee, how you doing?" By her tone I knew something was up. "And it wasn't good," Mallory said. "Sis, they found Thomas unconscious on his kitchen floor." Her voice trembled. "Is he alive?" I asked, fighting back tears. "Yes, just unresponsive," Veronica added. "Jay and I live closer, so we are gonna head up there." "Lee, are you okay to drive at night?" Mallory asked, knowing my sight was terrible at night. "I will swing by and pick you up, sis. Give me 20 minutes. Steven is at work also," Veronica said. "Okay. Getting ready now," I said, jumping out of bed. I began to get dressed. "See y'all soon and be careful," Mallory said. We all hung up and I began to pray. See, Thomas is our father, yet none of us refer to him as Daddy. He was too busy being 16 again for the 4th time. Maybe that's why he married Mary Helen Singletary 3 years ago, and he has been sick ever since. I mean, to his credit, he may flirt with girls young enough to be his daughters. He was never gonna wife one, especially once he met Miss Mary Helen. And that exactly what he got, more like married hell instead of Mary Helen. She was so high maintenance and stuck up for no reason. I respected her only on the strength that she married Thomas, but I couldn't help to notice that ever since he actually married her, he has been sick all the time. And no matter the time, day or night, my siblings and I always come running. For a man who spent most of our young lives running away from us. "Mallory, if it ain't one thing, it's another." Jay answered the phone on the first ring. It was just past 2:10 in the morning, and both he and I knew those calls that come creeping into your room that early only meant impending doom. "Hold on, Veronica. She's right here," Jay said, clearing his throat. He handed me the phone. I knew this was bad. "Hey Veronica. What's up, sis?" I asked, voice still heavy with Tylenol. "Am drowsy. T.J. just called. They rushed Thomas to the emergency room. He was found passed out in the kitchen." I think that's what he said. I was sleeping when he called. "Okay. I am getting up now." "Wait, which hospital?" I asked. Jay was getting dressed. "Village of Pelham. Could you call Lee? You know how she is, her nerves are so fragile, and God only knows why, but she truly loves Thomas. And while you do that, I will call Miss Mary and find out why she went back to bed after the ambulance took Thomas." Rodney was there and rode in the ambulance with Thomas, when T.J. stayed behind intending to drive her to the hospital. She said that she was tired and that she felt Rodney would call and let her know what's up. My sister snarled. "Okay. Jay and I will see you there. Calling Lee now," I said, and we ended the call. I got Lee on the phone and gently broke the news to her. She was alone, as my brother-in-law works nights. In fact, so does Veronica's. I then called Veronica back and it was decided that she would pick up Lee since Anthony had driven to work. Like Jay and myself, they only had one car. He would get off work at 7 a.m. She would use the car to be at work at 9 a.m. Same with Jay and myself. I was rather surprised that T.J. called Veronica instead of me, because he was not really close to her, but he is close with my husband, who pointed out that T.J. called Veronica because he knew that telling her about Ms. Mary Helen, Veronica would call and curse her out if needed, whereas Lee and I may have wanted to curse her out and did so in our heads. We never said anything out of respect for Thomas, our mutual father. But if it ain't one thing, it's another. There are 5 of us, same dad, different mothers, yet we all shared one thing: love for each other. And that is all that counts. If Thomas gave us nothing else, he gave us each other. "Mallory, any excuse is better than none." I finished dressing and put Lee's address in my GPS. Yes, we are sisters, but we live totally different towns. We rarely see each other but keep in touch via text and phone, and pick up right where it left off the last time. And now the one man who binds up has been once again rushed to the hospital, the 6th time this year. And as much as Ms. Mary Helen complains about our brother, Rodney sleeping in the attic that he himself paid to have renovated into a single-bedroom apartment, and each time he has been the one keeping an eye on Thomas. Meanwhile, Ms. Mary Helen is doing her with Thomas's money. I decided to call Ms. Mary Helen as I walked up to the car. The phone rang 4 times before that fake-ass wannabe rich wife of a businessman answered. Ms. Mary Helen, hello Veronica, she said from an either sleepy or intoxicated voice. Probably the latter. Me, good morning. What happened to this morning? Ms. M. I really don't know. Rodney was about to leave to go lay up somewhere. Didn't turn on the light when he came from that den of iniquity of his and tripped over Thomas, who was laying on the floor. Me, and you didn't go in the ambulance, why? I mean, you are his wife, right? You bring that up every time his kids are around. Did Rodney tell you to go and you refused, or did he override your authority and go with Thomas? T.J could bring you. Ms. M. Well, T.J is gone and I took 2 Benadryl. I have no business driving. Me, well, I am just picking up Lee. Lee came to the car and gave me a look that asked what is going on. I held up a finger and mouthed that it was Ms. Mary Helen on the phone. Ms. M. Well, y'all just keep me updated on what the doctor says because he was unconscious when they took him out of here. Rodney found him, so Rodney is the one who needs to talk to the doctor and T.J has left already. And I am not too comfortable riding with him. Fresh ass. Me, well, yours ain't fresh. So I doubt if he would make a pass at you with Thomas laying in the hospital. Tell you what, I gotta come through Greer to get to the hospital. Get dressed, Lee, and I will stop by and scoop you up. Ms. M. You don't need to go out of your way. Plus I plan to go to 2 Kings with my sister and another friend today. Any excuse is better than none. Me, Thomas was rushed to the hospital. You know what that means, right? Rushed, because that is what you did to get him to the altar. I cut a sharp left turn and blew my horn. I had texted my 2 granddaughters, Kamei and Avon, my mom named them. They both came bouncing out into the darkness. I saw my son Scotty standing in the doorway with his arms crossed, shaking his head. He knew what was up and didn't say a word. I kept driving as Miss Mary kept talking. Lee got wide-eyed as she realized we were at Thomas and Miss Mary Helen's house. Kamei and Avon got out, then so did Lee and I. We all knew where Thomas kept the spare key. I unlocked it. We walked into the house, we walked into the dark bedroom. My granddaughters got busy finding clothes in Miss Mary Helen's closet. Miss Mary Helen sat up in the bed with big rollers in her hair. The girls threw the clothes on the bed. I said, "Oh, your ass is going to the hospital," giving her very little time to object. As she got up, Lee bumped me with her elbow and gave me the eye to look over at the nightstand. Just side-glancing, I saw Thomas's insurance policy and last will and testament. We were pissed but getting to the hospital once again for the 11th since he married this wannabe black widow. Thomas may not have been father of the year, but he is our dad, and any woman who has ever come into his life, of all he chose pretty privilege, Miss Mary Helen. But I am convinced she was the muse for the Temptations' Beauty's Only Skin Deep, because it fits her like a glove. About the author. Kennedy Brown is a native of Greer, South Carolina. She was born Tuesday, November 12, 1968, at Greenville General Hospital to Jaretta Matt Culbertson and Louis Gregory. She is now a resident of Welford, South Carolina with her husband, Keith. They are the parents of 4 Deirdre, Eric, Brandon, and Xavier. She is the author of That's It, I Quit, I'm Moving On, Keep Moving On. Ain't nobody's business if I do. Kennedy is an avid history buff, and is a Sam Cooke fan to the soul. SamCookeFan68@gmail.com. Kennedy loves Sam at yahoo.com.